Hi, welcome to Howard Teich Presents, a series on reimagining human dignity for today's world. Human dignity is about each other's respect for all of us as humans and also our world environment. And today we're particularly fortunate to have with us Lou Jost, who will appear on the screen and is the director of Fundacion Ecominga in Ecuador, is a world famous ecologist and biologist, and someone who I've just actually met in person. I've known of him and for years, we've been in touch for years because I'm on the board of Ecominga. And I'll start by saying, Lou, I've admired so what you've done for an organization that really came out of, and I have to give a shout out to Francesca Rota right now because she's the one who actually brought us together in out of an idea of, can't we buy the same land that others are buying to destroy to save? And what has that meant? What is, to give background of Ecominga and what it's meant as a generic, and then we'll get into some of the specifics of what you've done.
Well, Ecominga started as a result of a lot of people, Francesca and others, seeing the disappearance of important ecosystems in Ecuador. Ecuador is one of the world's hotspots for biodiversity. It's one of the richest countries in the world for almost every group of plants and animals that you can think of. So it's globally important to protect these ecosystems. And my friends and I, my scientist friends and I studied these forests and began to discover lots of new species in the areas where we lived. New species of plants. My particular specialty is orchids. So I discovered a number of new species of orchids. Another scientist who works with us discovered many new species of frogs. Other scientists have discovered new species of trees, spectacular new species of trees. And these new species were outside the protected areas of the national parks. The biodiversity of Ecuador is so great that a few national parks aren't enough to protect the whole range of.
One of the things I remember when I was down there, it's probably 15 years ago, was as we were riding along, just seeing like the palm oils. And learning the damage, or even the flowers that we buy at the markets, and what's being used in some of the I don't know if they're insecticides or otherwise that go into the earth down there. The palm oils that go eating the water from the level that was part of the really nurturing of jungles. So there are things that are going on in today's world by industry. That are part of what we, and of course in terms of the land coverage and so forth, having to do with whether it be logging or other kinds of things that are scraping the forests. What do we do about getting that message out more and more? And Ecominga, I know, has been part of that.
As you mentioned, palm oil forests have destroyed almost the entire lowlands of Western Ecuador. Between palm and banana, these are enormous monoculture crops that are chemical intensive and have completely replaced most of the native forest in the West. There's still good forest along some of the middle elevations along the Andes, and those are the forests we're concentrating on. And there are also still some good forests in the Amazon, but those too are being invaded now by palm oil plantations, which cut down.
That's continuing.
Yeah. enormous areas.
Who is that? Who's doing the palm work? Is that industry or individuals or what?
It's a mixture of individuals and industry. One basic problem everywhere: people have to live. People need some income, and the options are somewhat limited in Ecuador, and that's a basic problem of all developing countries. People aren't necessarily doing this destruction because they're evil. They're doing it because they have to,
So
or because they don't have the imagination to think of alternatives, or the education to think of alternatives. They take the easy, tried and true money-making ideas, which right now palm oil is one of the easiest.
So that's the imagination and the creativity of Ecominga, actually, because what you've done, what you're doing, is buying significant tracts of land. And tell them about some of the discoveries you've made. I know in terms of various species and orchids and other things. That it's really a passion of yours, and I'm astounded when I look at the website, Ecominga website, and see some of the beautiful things that you've discovered we never even heard of, but there they are.
It's one of the most exciting feelings in the world to be the first person to see some spectacular result of evolution that's been evolving in secret for millions of years, and to suddenly see that, to bring that to human knowledge, to human consciousness for the first time is a really exciting thing. My particular passion are these tiny little orchids whose flowers are about the size of my fingernail. They're almost invisible, but they're incredible when you look at them under a microscope or under a magnifying glass. They're incredibly complex, beautiful, colorful things that boggle the imagination, and it's so very exciting to try to bring that to the consciousness of humanity.
And it's not like you can really destroy that infrastructure and have them grow somewhere else. They come about because of that.
Almost all the new species we're discovering, whether it's frogs or orchids or trees, they're new because they live in very restricted areas where people haven't studied much, and they're basically microclimate specialists. They've evolved in these specific locations because of special amounts of mist or rain or sun or wind, combinations of all these variables, geology, history, all these things, all these unique evolutionary forces create these pockets of endemic species, locally endemic species, plants and frogs and other things. And so they're absolutely tied to those specific habitats. Now you might be able to put a frog in a zoo or put an orchid in a greenhouse, and if you take good care of it, it'll probably live, but it won't participate in the ecology. It won't. It'll be basically like a museum specimen.
But what an organization like Ecominga does is bring together, and I know there's a number of really talented scientists and others who have gotten together with people who are being really supportive of this, and also land trust groups and so forth that you've worked with. What significance has Ecominga really brought in making a difference here?
Two things. First is the direct conservation. We're protecting those special environments that we've discovered to keep them from being destroyed for agriculture or other reasons. But we're also trying to raise awareness in the local people about the specialness of their forests. These are unique treasures for the world. And the local people initially didn't necessarily appreciate that, didn't know didn't know how special their forests are. They just seemed like ordinary, whatever kind of, they just seemed average. It was just forest to them. All forests looked the same to them, and they used to see our forests as obstacles to agriculture. But we've shown them now through education, through their children, educating their children, that their forests are unique, globally important for the world, and something to be proud of, not something to be destroyed, but something that they themselves can feel proud of. They have an important part of the world's biodiversity at their doorstep, and they're in charge of protecting it, or helping to protect it.
But these people, in most cases, who've been there generationally, and
yes,
or
yes, almost all have been there for at least several generations. Yes, and the first generation was pretty much dedicated to agriculture. The new generations are moving away from agriculture, looking at ecotourism, looking at other alternatives.
So Ecominga can make a big difference in that. And I know you're working with some other groups. How have you, as really being the leading light of direction for the organization, how do you see the future of this? Just continued growth and outreach? And I know I'm thrilled about everything that's taken place. I think every locale in the world should know of it, and know of the environment in Ecuador. And I guess visiting it is probably one of the best ways, although we can do it through this virtual world as well. And you have a website, so you might talk about that as well.
Yes. I just want to mention that I am not the only person, not the leading light. The next generation will of Ecominga scientists and leaders. They're already here, and I see the future is in very good hands with people like Javier Roballo, who is actually our executive director right now, and Juan Pablo Reyes, and our other reserve managers and leaders. We're set for the future. We're going to keep. We will be able to keep doing this after I'm gone, I'm sure. And we'll grow, but our goal is not to grow indefinitely. Our goal is to do what we're doing and do it well, and that probably means for the at least for the foreseeable future, trying to solidify our existing reserves and try to fill holes in our protected ecosystem.
So the importance of the protected system, I've learned more and more about from the fact that all of the conservation stuff that we're doing otherwise, whether it be limiting gas and so forth, deforestation is one of the most significant things in terms of the future of the earth. And people aren't realizing it. In the sense, we should be planting more and more trees and protecting what we have, and being concerned about the destruction as much as we are, and limiting some of the things that are being talked about as the most significant. And people are forgetting about the natural environment that we have around us and protecting that.
Yeah, it's essential. All of the other things we're doing to change the world, trying to fight climate change, climate disruption, trying to educate people, trying to lower the birth rate, all these other things are going to take a lot of time, and we don't have the time if deforestation is happening so rapidly. We have to protect right now some of these special forests to buy time for these other things to change the world. to change our outlook, human outlook on the world. That's a generational thing. But deforestation is happening so fast, we don't have the time to wait for those things to take effect. We have to act now, to sort of an emergency act. It can't be permanent unless we've changed these other larger things. We have to change the way people look at the world.
And one of the things I recall is you can't just replant a primitive ecostructure overnight. It's thousands of years really in its creation, and people aren't recognizing fully what that means.
Right. At least several hundred years it takes to grow a forest with a high degree of biodiversity once it's cut down. So planting trees is useful. Nothing wrong with it. It can help, especially when we're trying to connect formerly connected forests that have been separated by pastures or destruction. That's useful. But the main effort has to be in protecting these intact ecosystems before they're destroyed. And that's Ecominga's prime goal. And there are a few other foundations in Ecuador like that as well. Fundacion Ocotoco is one. There are several others. There's enough work to go. There are enough emergencies in Ecuador that we need all the foundations that we can to work in each of their spheres and try to do something.
Well, I think it's important that we all know of these things and be supportive. I want to just introduce before we leave our executive director, Lily Matina, and thrilled that she's helped put this together. Coming to us from Kyiv, Ukraine, actually, right now in the midst of a very difficult situation over there. So we thank you, Internovation, which is the company that's really put this Zoom possibility here. Lou, I want to thank you again. And if people want to learn more about Ecominga, you have a website, and you might just give the contact information and last words.
Our website, we have a blog, www.Ecominga Fundacion, one word, .wordpress.com. That's a running account of all the things we do here. We also have presence on Facebook and elsewhere. If you look up Ecominga Ecuador, you'll find lots of information about us.
Well, we thank you again. If people want to know more about what we're up to, what I'm up to, you can go to www.howardteachny.com, my website. And we'll have future shows similar to this, all about human dignity, about reimagining the world through better understanding of things we can do, and the great things that, whether it be Lou and Ecominga and all the people associated with that, Francesca, and so forth, are doing. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Howard. Thank you, Lilia. Take care.
See you all.